Well, thanks for inviting me to Wearable IoT World. Is it Wearable IoT World or Wearable World, the organization?
It's Wearable IoT World, so thank you so much for coming, Alex. It's a pleasure to have you here. We started actually off as Wearable World. Initially, we were very focused around Google Glass and applications for it. And then actually most of our companies that you see today are more IoT related than straight wearables, so we wanted to emphasize that in our title.
Oh, okay,
It's a little bit of a mouthful. Tried to say it 5 times fast. But
I think I can manage. Yeah. So what exactly do you do? Are you an accelerator?
Yeah, no, we're an accelerator for startups in the wearable and Internet of Things industry. We're also an advisory for enterprise and government on how to interact with startups and wearables and the Internet of Things, and also how to kind of plan out your IoT strategy. So with our media publication Read Write, we kind of help various businesses and startups interact with the IoT ecosystem.
Awesome.
Yeah, so a lot of folks are looking, they're like, oh, well, our strategy is B2B or our strategy is B2C, but what we've realized is in IoT, it's all connected. So your strategy really needs to be B2E or business to ecosystem. And we help people do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
So you've obviously had a few startups come out of here already. I noticed you mentioned Bell before, the wearable for security, where you would alert your friends and emergency forces that you're being attacked.
Yeah, so actually Belle's in our current labs class. Kaylee Wetzig is the founder. Her background is actually in engineering, and then one of her co-founders has a background in celebrity fashion design. So it's a cool product founder fit. It's interesting, her pitch kind of starts off of, 1 in every 3 women are attacked, in a given time. I'm not giving her any justice. She does a much better pitch. But really what's interesting about her device is it's a wearable, jewelry. So they have a bracelet as well as a ring that are very fashionable, and they get a lot of the celebrity endorsements on it. But it has really impressive hardware that allows you to press an alert button if you feel unsafe. That contacts, I think, like your 3 closest people, your emergency contacts, as well as sends out a 911 call, which can easily be stopped by another press if
cool. Yeah, that's really important, because it seems like I would hit that all the time.
Yeah, I'd be like, oh no, wait, oh.
Does it like alert? Does it let you know that it's sending the message?
It sends a note, a ring or a message to your phone.
Okay. Cool.
And then it also works as a fitness tracker, and it can incorporate a lot of other wearable technologies.
Nice.
So her whole thing is, women like everything in one. So it's going to be fashionable. It'll help protect you, and can do everything else you need, and it's going to be fashionable. So that's one of our.
Cool, yeah, because you don't want to have 8 million things attached to you all the time.
A whole wrist of wearables.
Yeah, except if you're my friend Rachel Kalmar, I don't know if you know her, but she's like this local sensor fanatic who wears 17 different, literally 17 different wearables at the same time. Yeah.
Do they drive her nuts though? I mean, are they all beeping at her at once?
I don't know, she's been doing it for a year or at least, so I guess she must be used to it.
That's awesome. I'd love to talk to her, because I think, the biggest thing that some of our companies are trying to figure out is, what's valuable information and what's too much.
Right.
But yeah.
And then you have ones that are more sort of basic function, like the Go Puck. Is that from a previous class? Because I just saw an article about it.
Yeah, so they actually recently, I think, partnered up with GoPro. They're, I think, an extendable battery life, and they're from one of our earlier classes. Same with, a lot of our earlier classes are actually, they're 2 years in now, so they're becoming more and more established. CreoPop, which is a 3D printing pen, is now in over 1,000 Best Buy stores. Scully helmets, I'm sure you've heard of them.
Yeah, those are rad.
So that's one of our companies.
That's so future, I love it.
I know, well, in future, but also, what I've found with a lot of these startups, particularly in IoT, is, it's how can we actually change the way we live our daily lives, right? If you can see, 360 view around you, you're going to drive safer, you're going to know what's happening, and you can go ahead and prepare for it better, and that's what IoT is really all about.
Yeah. So some of your classes are already a couple of years out. With the ones that have gone through here already, what are some stumbling blocks that you've seen them encounter and get over?
Yeah.
Ideally.
Well, and we try to help them as much as we can with some of those stumbling blocks. So our curriculum is a 15-week program that takes them through everything from design for manufacture, actual manufacturing for scale. We're about 70% hardware, 30% software. So you actually see a lot of those questions come up. All the way down to, what's your product market fit? How do you pitch to an investor? The whole gamut. So a lot of our folks here they're looking for investment, they're looking for that support. They're tweaking their pitch decks and making them perfect. In fact, we have our demo day coming up in about 2 weeks. And that's why it's a little empty in here now, because everyone's out there practicing their pitches with our various mentors and whatnot.
Yeah, because I always hear that hardware is hard, and managing shipping and manufacturing is always such a huge pain in the ass. But at the same time, of course, you do have to focus so much on the business side. So not just having a prototype that works is only about a quarter of the way along.
Well, yeah, prototype that works, and then you also have to think about down to the level of packaging that works. So we will even have people come in from the retail side that can say, give advice and guidance on when you're actually pitching this to a buyer in a Target or a Best Buy, for instance, not just your product, but your packaging has to make sense with how people will be able to piece it together and scale it up and put it on a shelf for people to see.
Right.
So, it's a lot of stuff that, you don't think about, and we kind of try to help people through that process.
Yeah, like with the Go Puck, it comes in this awesome little tote bag thing that you should totally see. You should check it out. It's just like a little thing that you attach to yourself, and it's a battery pack, right?
Yeah, we can grab it if you want.
Sure.
Yeah.
Go Puck.
I grabbed a couple of fun things.
Sweet.
So here's the Go Puck for you.
Ooh, yeah.
Wearable power.
Does this little zippy thing? This experience is already so mind-blowing.
Yeah, we actually were able to, give out a couple of these, I think, don't quote me on that, at our Wearable World Congress. We had the CEO of GoPuck on our stage, and they recently just formed a partnership with GoPro, which is really exciting.
So it's welcome to mobile freedom. That's pretty exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome. So is your pitch day, are those ever open to the public? Can people come see?
So they're not open to the public, but we're part of it is making sure we have enough room for the investors and the people that these guys really are trying to get in front of there, as well as some of our partners and whatnot. So I can talk to our director. We do some special invitations and stuff like that. But all of our
we're gonna live stream it.
Oh, there you go. Thanks, Logan. On Read Write Facebook?
Yeah.
So there you go. We will be live streaming our demo day on facebook.com/readwrite.
Awesome.
Yeah,
we'll
check it out.
What else did you bring over here?
I brought over Mi Mini. So this is really interesting. It's actually just the box, unfortunately.
It's a nice box, though.
Yeah. So the founder of Mi Mini is actually based out of New Zealand. He was working as a snowboard instructor, filming his students as they did tricks. And so while you're trying to instruct but also film at the same time, it doesn't really give you the opportunity to live in the present. So he created Mi Mini, which is a video camera that allows you to live in the present but capture those special moments. So for instance, if you see your child walking for the first time and you missed it, you can press the button on Mi Mini and it records back anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute.
Sweet.
Yeah, so you can, a lot of the complaints about, IoT and wearables and all this technology is that we're kind of losing our sense of empathy. We're getting further and further away from actual face-to-face conversations. This is good stuff. And interacting with, our friends and loved ones and just, the general public. And so a lot of our companies are trying to figure out ways, and again, this goes back to building out a product that is valuable to the end consumer, that allows them to continue to interact with each other, but still take advantage of all the different technologies that we have out there.
Awesome.
Yeah, there's this one company that we actually had at one of our Wearable Wednesdays. It was all on virtual reality, and it's called the Voxy Box. And you guys should look it up. It's pretty cool. It's essentially like a 3D hologram, like what you see in Star Wars, like Obi-Wan, You're My Only Hope.
Yeah.
But the idea and the concept behind it is, you can all gather around the 3D hologram and talk to, Skype with your loved one across seas, or even play a video game. But when you're all facing each other, you're all more likely to interact with each other than facing just a TV screen.
Right, yeah. Even in stand-ups for companies, it's super weird because you're like sort of staring in this ring, sort of judging this person or whatever.
Yeah.
It's like some kind of inquisition.
Exactly. So, it's trying to find technologies that will advance us, but at the same time allow us to still connect and interact.
Cool.
On a deeper level.
Yeah, awesome. I'm all for that. If only you could be here in the room with us. You didn't have this barrier between us.
Someday with Foxybox.
Yeah.
So there's cool stuff like that.
Sweet. What's this other thing then?
So this is Creopop. Yeah, this is cool. This is the, let's see if we can open it up.
All these totally do have amazing packaging.
Right? So this is actually now in over 1,000 Best Buy stores. We're really proud of Andreas. He's done a great job. It's a 3D printing pen. And so as you can see with some of the pictures, I got one for my little cousin.
Robot.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, so he's actually based out of Singapore, but they're doing pretty well out here. And I mean, it's interesting because it's not technically a wearable. It's not necessarily IoT, but it's definitely maker. And so there could be a lot of interesting applications for right now. Product market fit is with kids, right? To go ahead and build 3D structures and images. So it's kind of cool.
Yeah, fantastic. What's the price point on this guy?
I think this one, I'm going to be incorrect. I want to say it's $120.
Which ain't bad.
No.
Yeah, I think the cheapest good 3D printer you can get on the market is like $300 to $400, and then you got like this freeform tool. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Well, what I'd like to see is to if some of our startups are looking to prototype and just kind of play around with some stuff, it'd be interesting if they broke out the pen and played with it. But it does take a little bit of a steady hand, so it'll be interesting as people, maybe graphic artists or other folks come on. They did actually do a whole exhibit with an artist in LA who created a bunch of sculptures out of the Creopop, and those are really cool.
Awesome.
They're very lifelike. So.
There's this huge movement right now for like drawing but in physical space. Like I'm sure you've seen the demos of the tilt brush now.
Yeah.
Oh my god, amazing.
Those are amazing.
So it's just like,
I mean, it's got to be so interesting for artists and graphic designers and everything. They're moving into a field where you have to have an understanding of technology to actually kind of be successful. Which I mean, that's it for anybody in any industry at this point. But you don't really think about it in art,
No. Yeah. Oh, so cool. So speaking of moving things into the future, you're doing a lot of work with smart cities, you mentioned. What kind of stuff are you doing with that?
So we're doing a lot of different things. My main goal is to be able to connect startups who move at the speed of light with government who moves very slowly, and enterprise who moves kind of slowly, but they're looking for innovation. And same with government. I mean, we're working with Jay Nath, who's the Chief Innovation Officer of the City of San Francisco. He has their Startup in Residence program, where they actually present a bunch of use cases. We kind of been helping with some of the curriculum and guiding startups to that program. And we actually just recently put on an IoT for Cities hackathon. So we brought together city officials. We had Con Russo from the city of San Jose.
Cool.
Jay Nath was a partner, again, with us on that. We had GE, or Current Powered by GE was our grand prize sponsor. And what we're doing is all the challenges were focused around smart cities and smart cities development. So the grand prize and the winning solution actually was a smart AED. So,
cool.
Yeah, and it incorporated all these different IoT technologies. It incorporated, GE's public safety and traffic APIs, Cisco's Spark messaging APIs, Amazon Alexa, as well, and Pitney Bowes their messaging API as well. What it was is, if someone drops to the floor, you grab the AED, the defibrillator off the wall. The minute you start charging, it actually calls 911, and then it allows you to go ahead and track the first responders like you would in Uber. In the meantime, it's going ahead and guiding those first responders through the quickest and most efficient route using some of the traffic APIs. And then Amazon Alexa is actually talking you through taking care of that patient. So it's saying, is your patient breathing, yes or no? Then go do this or do that. It's also giving you updates on where your first responders are. It's like, if they're at the door, make sure you unlock it, that sort of thing. So, yeah, I mean, and that was the winning solution. They got $10,000 from GE, and they're also meeting with GE Ventures. So it's a great opportunity for them to go ahead and our biggest thing too is what we found is, you want to be able to take the hackathon beyond the hack. There's a lot of really cool solutions that get created and they get lost or, people forget about them.
Yeah.
And so actually the winning team also has an opportunity to join our accelerator if they choose. Yeah, so they can go ahead and develop out that solution into a business.
Yeah, that's totally our own methodology as well. Is like, once you have a hackathon, you have all these hacks that are created in like 1 or 2 days, and then they just disappear forever. And so we want to preserve that. And you actually ran the hackathon in Hackster. Yeah.
Yeah. It was great.
Yeah, super boss. Awesome. And you plan to run more hackathons in the future, right?
Yeah. So we're actually ramping up to go ahead and do virtual hackathons, public hackathons, so more of these hackathons at large events like IoT World in the future, as well as private hackathons or more customized for specific vendors and enterprises. A lot of enterprise, they have all this really, really cool technology that they're trying to get in the hands of developers, and the easiest way is to give it to them for free at a hackathon. You get a lot of solutions that come out of it, marketing collateral, the whole gamut. Yeah. And the biggest thing I think is feedback. So we had one company at our hackathon that their HDK didn't really work well with Macs, and it was like,
yeah, totally.
You're going to miss out on more than 50% of the population because most people, a lot of people have Macs. At least most of the people at our hackathon had Macs.
Yeah, it's so valuable for hardware companies, especially. What was I going to say? Okay, so I actually just dragged Lauren back into the camera because she's done some amazing cool work with biotech stuff, including pacemakers and clinical trials, you mentioned. Mm-hmm. So one of the really fascinating new problems that's coming up is the way that these relate to security. And, for example, a friend of a friend is hacking her pacemaker because she's noticed that it will update without any warning or consent or anything. Have you had any experience with how people are treating that as they go into the trials process for accreditation?
Yeah, so a lot of it was, so back when I worked at Boston Scientific, we actually, which was less than a year ago, so this stuff is still out there, pretty new. We have a whole remote monitoring system. Mm-hmm. So your defibrillator is wireless, and it can talk to a box that sits by your bed and updates that box, and then through that your physician on what's going on with your heart. Mm-hmm. So it's incredibly valuable for the patient because one, they're constantly being monitored instead of coming in every 3 to 6 months and finding out, oh crap, you had an arrhythmia, right? Yeah. Or if they feel very lightheaded or they feel like something's happening, they can always press the button. It'll automatically alert their physician to go through and check. What is your heart doing? Did you have a pause? Did you have some sort of fast rhythm or whatnot, so they can treat it right away? So the whole thing, and I think you'll see this with IoT and wearables in general, is what's the balance here of positive versus negative? So I think it was Mitt Romney, he has a defibrillator, and he specifically got the old version that's not wireless, that doesn't have as many capabilities because he was afraid it was going to get hacked. Oh. The thing is, and you can probably back this up, anything can be hacked these days, right? But what I tell, my 80-year-old, patients in New Jersey, they're like, is this going to be hacked? What am I going to do? And I'm, if it's going to be hacked, it's probably not going to happen to you, sir. No offense. Yeah. But you never know because I think some of them learn a lot. No, but in all actuality, I think it comes down to ultimately the monitoring and the safety that you're getting from enabling these devices to be wireless is more beneficial than the chances of what could be hacked. And so ultimately what will happen, at least with the current pacemakers and defibrillators that are out there, one, you can't change or control the rhythm. You can't shock anyone. That's all
just
controlled
right?
within. Yeah. So what they would be able to find out is maybe your name and address if it's uploaded in the defibrillator itself, or pacemaker, which that information's on every mailing bill you've ever gotten. So neither here nor there, and information on your rhythm or your heart rate, which most people don't care about or would even know what to do with. So
and then there's interesting movements like with Scott Hanselman, who's a prominent hardware blogger, who's actually hacked his insulin pump so that he can get the data out of it streamed to his Pebble. And obviously there's some concerns about that, like he's not allowed to he's shared the code, but he's not allowed to like collect any data from anyone who's installed this or whatever.
Well, that's it. Yeah, and that's a tricky thing with even devices that are not meant to be health related. So one of our companies actually created a device that sits under your pillow and plays for you the heartbeat of your loved one who could be miles away, which is really cool. I mean, it allows you to feel close to someone, even when you're long distant, which is the cool thing about IoT right now, right?
Yeah.
But she's a little bit concerned because, okay, well, what if in listening to those heartbeats and recording those heartbeats, I catch something that I'm not, you know what I mean, about that person's rhythm. Do I notify them? Do I need to notify their physician?
Yeah.
We even had physicians that, were concerned about remote monitoring because they're like, well, who's liable? Am I liable 24/7 now for this person's rhythm? And you have to kind of message it in a way, right? So for, in especially, the remote monitoring situations for pacemakers, it's, we have a clinician who's available from 9 to 5 during the week. They check these reports once a week, and they, give them to the doctor. No, we're not actually monitoring you 24 hours, but your device is. So we will get that information, when we get it. If there's an emergency, do what you always do and go to the emergency room.
Yeah.
And I think it's, setting up that expectations for patients, for physicians, for any, wearable or IoT device user.
Yeah.
That's going to be really important moving forward when it comes to security, management, maintenance of all this data.
Yeah, that's fascinating. Thank you so much for coming back, and it's gone.
You can dance.
Well, anyway, thank you so much, Lauren, for taking the time out of your day.
Yeah.
Thanks to Wearable IoT World for having me over and giving me a tour, and I hope you've enjoyed this insight. We'll see you next week and hack on.
Thanks for having me.